This stuff works really well. I hope. I don't know. I've never used it. I've never heard anybody say they have any problems with it. So hoping that it works. Before I get the water pump on, make sure you buy a hose and this fitting here for the intake for the coolant crossover and stuff. So I had to manufacture this fitting here. This is a 1/2 inch fitting, double female. You screw it into the intake, and then I had to screw this 90 onto it. And then I have a 1/2 inch to a 3/8 nipple thing here. I don't know if I'm gonna have to get a different kind or not. I don't know if I'm gonna do a 1/2 inch on both sides or not, but that's what I'm gonna run for the what you call it, heater core. Not installed that yet. I'll probably do that. It'll probably be like one of the last things I do is install the I assume this is probably gonna be output or input, and that's gonna be output of the heater core. What else? I still don't have the break-in oil for it. I don't have an oil filter for it. I've not rigged up, wired up the MSD box yet. I'm gonna try to get everything I have for the engine on the engine, bolt everything up to it, even the exhaust manifold, make sure everything fits right and all, everything before I put it in the truck. I feel like most people don't do this. I don't know if I'm gonna have to take them off or not, but I went ahead and put the motor mounts on it. And if this is your first time building an engine, do not put your water pump on or your oil pump on before you stab your distributor, or at least until you put the drive shaft in there for the oil pump, or the oil pump drive, whatever you want to call it. Because you cannot go from the top and drop the shaft in, stab it into the hole, and then stab your distributor. Because there's that little washer on it. And if you're curious, if you're like me and had the engine tore down since May of 2020, and this is January of 2021, you're gonna forget which way that washer went, but luckily there was a an arrow on that Melling oil pump drive. The Melling oil pump drive was definitely beefier than the OEM one. I went ahead and got a oil pump primer tool, so right before I go to stab this in the truck, I'm gonna prime that up. I'm gonna restab the distributor on a stand, or maybe not on the stand, but on my engine lift over there. Yeah, I got a mess, guys, but I'm just gonna keep on making a mess until this is done, so I might as well just keep it up until I get ready to clean everything. Yeah, but this has been like this since May. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I agree. But I got a small garage, and I don't want to throw anything away yet. I don't have a lot of storage to organize all this shit. But I mean, yeah, I could throw the pistons away. I agree. Anyway, after here pretty soon, I'm gonna rig this up. I gotta put my blaster. I went ahead and got the high vibration blaster coil to run with this. I want to rig up all my plug wires because I had read reviews on the pre-made sets for a 460, and they said that they were not long enough. I don't know if it's due to people having tall valve covers, or if because it was made for several engines that the links weren't exactly right. So I went ahead and bought the build your own kit. Let me show you what I bought here. So if you're curious about it, I've asked questions on the Summit Racing like Q&A section for the 2045 kit, and these are the spark plugs that they recommend. I really don't want to run anything other than what they recommend currently. This is my first build, so I don't know what I can get away with. But I went ahead and bought the 31-19-9 spark plug wires from MSD. They seem like a significantly better than anybody else. The Ford Racing brand spark plug wires, they were rated at 1,000 ohms per foot. These are rated at 50. Now, if, to my understanding, right, ohms is a resistance which is going to take which is going to act as a load instead of the gap in the spark plug taking the load and being the load and then firing. There's going to be a lot more power at the plug with the MSD spark plug wires versus the Ford Performance. Do what you want to do. I mean, but I am trying to get every little thing I can out of this kit, and not buy, you know, parts that are going to be intentionally downing my horsepower. Which, you know, I don't know how much that would do, but 50 ohms to 1,000 ohms is kind of a big deal to me. And I feel like that would make a big difference. Yeah, that's gonna go there for a minute. But yeah, I bought these Headland headers. I guess 89-140. Maybe that might be it. Might not be it. Yeah, that's it. But I bought the mid-length ones because I didn't want to spend $1,500 on headers, and the stock headers were not going to fit on this anymore, or I wasn't comfortable putting them on considering they were smog headers. I'm doing the delete on this currently, and then so I'm pretty sure that those are going to bolt right in. I've seen reviews on these saying yes, an 85, 86, or what is it, 82 to 86 Ford model with the 460. This will bolt right up, no issues. I was gonna buy stubbies because I am gonna use this as a tow rig, and I know that the camshaft that comes with this kit is not a low end torque camshaft. I know that now. I didn't know that when I bought it because I just didn't know that much about camshafts at the time. You know, I was just looking at horsepower ratings. Little diagram for my transfer case that I rebuilt. But so I bought this, and I got a piece of 3/8 plate, and I welded it to the shifter that comes out of my T19. It's not in yet, but I'll kind of show you what I'm doing here. So essentially, you know, this is my first hot rod, and I want it to be a fucking hot rod. So what I did was I made my own bracket here, but as you see, I didn't put the fucking collar on it, so this is not gonna work. I could possibly cut this down to get it to fit, but I think it's too big around. But this, I kind of put this on the back burner until I get the complete engine assembled. I mean, it's completely assembled for the most part. I just gotta put the oil pan on, seal the water pump, but I want to do everything I can while it's on stand. So I still have to put the pilot bearing in. I tried to use bread, but I didn't have big enough punch to make it work. Plus, the bottom of my engine stand is kind of in the way, so I'm gonna have to do that on the engine crane to do this. I'm probably gonna have to buy new bolts because I was scared I was gonna break the bolt off from the crank. I didn't want to use just that since the engine's kind of tight with the new piston rings. Everything is lubed up. I have turned this over a lot, so I'm hoping that I didn't do any damage to anything, but I put a lot of lube on that camshaft, so I'm hoping everything's fine. I wouldn't imagine that I would tear anything up, but this is what I used. I used 90% of this bottle plus what Edelbrock sends you. I use that little tube that they send you plus 90% of that bottle in this, and that's why I have camshaft grease everywhere. But I wanted to lube everything up like liberally, very, very liberally, because I didn't know how long I was gonna have this on stand. I coated the lifters in this oil. It's 2050 racing oil, conventional for high performance formula, push rod, and flat tappet engines. High zinc. Bought this at O'Reilly's. This is the only thing I believe that I've seen that has high zinc in it. I could have put synthetic in it and added a zinc additive, but I was literally only going to be soaking my lifters in it. So I don't know if I'm going to buy this because it's 2050. I don't want to run 2050 on these. So what I've read about oil viscosity ratings for engines is that if you have Ford, for these engines specifically, 460s, they said that you're gonna want anywhere from 8 thousandths to 15 thousandths of an inch oil clearance on your crankshaft rods and mains. And well, I had like 15 thousandths. I think I had it like right on the dot. When I looked up oil viscosity to figure out which oil I was gonna run, anything under 25 thousandths, I think, or maybe 20 thousandths, they said you should run 0.20 because you have a tight bearing clearance. Ford, from the factory, with these clearances, said a 1030 or a 530, one of the two. I am not comfortable with running a 0.20 in this engine. I don't even know if they make a conventional 0.20 or 1020 or whatever. I'm gonna run a 530, 1030. Either I think I'm leaning on buying an AMSA oil for at least the break-in, and then I'll probably switch to Mobil 1 with the Lucas additive here. So this is about as organized as my little garage gets currently. This right here, engine oil break-in oil additive. Oh, I didn't realize it was break-in. But okay, yeah, valve train protection. For maximum protection, use 1 full bottle with each oil change. So you can still use this every oil change, and I think that's what I'm going to use for this. Hopefully it doesn't fuck anything up. I don't think so. Extreme pressure additives for use in any oil, conventional or synthetic. But I don't know. I might run a conventional 1030 normal from the store that's not old school oil and just add that for the break-in. But I am a little bit more comfortable running a break-in oil. But yeah, I think the next thing I'm gonna do is I have to put my fuel pump in. And I want to rig up my fuel lines. I don't want to run a bunch of rubber hose. I want to run all metal, and I still want to run the fuel vapor separator that Ford has, because I do not want to buy a $150 return system from like Edelbrock or whoever. This works. It will work. I don't know if you can hear it jingling around there, but I have a new one I bought off eBay. I don't know if they're available anymore, so this will probably be the last one I ever buy. But I want my fuel lines to run into this. These fittings on the fuel pump, I believe, are 3/8 NPT or 1/2 inch NPT. I believe they're 3/8, just off the top of my head. But yeah, I want to run either stainless steel braided hose fuel line, or just all complete metal that I bend and put into place, because I don't want it rusting, or not rusting, dry rotting, and then me having issues in 6 months. I'll probably take this off and put the screw-in version that goes off the fuel line that I'm gonna do. I haven't figured out how I'm gonna route it yet. I'm gonna have to look on like Motor Trend on demand and see kind of the direction they take some of their things. I got a spacer for this because the you know, your 80s model Ford is gonna have that I don't know what the fuck it is. It's something with smog, you know, something with smog. It's got some kind of vacuum thing here, and there's a vacuum hose that goes off of it, and blah blah blah. I'm not dealing with that. So I put in a 1-inch spacer. I don't have any gaskets in these, so don't do that if you plan on kind of taking me for advice at all. Do not put gaskets in here when you're trying to build your fuel lines. Hopefully I can give you kind of what I bought, what I did when it comes to that point. And then you may not have to do all the figuring that I have, but I've not been able to find really anything about this kit online on YouTube. Never made very many YouTube videos, so just bear with me, be patient. Don't don't leave a bunch of slanderous stuff in the comments about me, you know what I mean? I'm trying my best here with what I got, using an iPhone to record this. So yeah, after here pretty soon, I gotta do the fuel pump, fuel lines. I'm gonna wire in all my plug wires. I gotta put the oil pan on. I gotta put oil in it. I gotta prime it. I gotta re-drop the distributor, put the gaskets in, figure out all my hoses, my vacuum hoses that I need to do, because I don't know, which one of these is vacuum advanced, which one the other one's for. I assume one may be for cruise control, PCV, I don't know. I'm not running PCV, I'm running a PCV valve and a breather, and not back to here. I know I believe this is for the brake booster. I'm not 100%. This may also be the PCB. I don't know. But yeah, I bought these 3/8 NPT plugs, and then a sensor. And you can just go to your O'Reilly's parts store for the sensor, because the one that's for your stock truck will bolt right into this. Okay. I don't know about these, particularly, or any of these other plugs, but I know that bolted right in. And then that's what I used my thread pattern off of and found these, but these are 3/8 NPT or MIL. Hold on, I have a package for you. MIP, okay, so it's 3/8 MIP pipe plug. 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch. Yeah, so yeah, it's 3/8 of an inch MIP pipe plug. That's what I've used. That's what all these thread patterns are, MIP. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions about any of this, when I post this finally, I don't know when that's gonna be. I started recording all of this shit in like September of 2020. But I have a lot of parts. I've devoted a lot of time to this build. So those 3 boxes right there are my transmission rebuild kit, transfer case rebuild kit, and then my wiring harness. I did not use the whole thing, I just fixed what I needed to and used new wire for that. My fuel gauge was not working properly, so I rewired the whole thing. That's my clutch and my bearing puller, my pilot bearing puller. Up there I have my transmission mount, my clutch master cylinder and slave cylinder, and a stainless steel braided clutch line to use on this. I have an Ultima alternator. I have mile marker hubs, I think, because when I bought this truck, everything was shot. Everything was shot. So it may have been drivable, but it wasn't safe. And I didn't intend to do this. I didn't intend to spend $10,000, $12,000 on this engine. I intended to buy this $1,700 truck and drive it. But that's where we're at right now. So fuck it, right? Fuck it. But yeah, I bought this too because my old starter had probably 2 quarts of oil in it. But I'm pretty sure that this, let me see if I can get it out for you. This will bolt right up. I'm 90% sure that this is the same exact, like, mounting surface or whatever you know. It's the same as the OEM one, this part. But look at that. The OEM one was this diameter all the way back. But this one, it's just right there. Still weighs like 10 pounds or whatever, but it's not 30. And it's supposed to spin like 3 times faster than the OEM one. So it is better. And then I don't know if this was just me or not, but when it told me to lay a 1/4 inch bead across here, that was not accurate at all. I had to lay a good 1/2 inch bead on that. A good 1/2 inch bead, 3/4 of an inch bead. I had to build it up very high because there was such a gap in here. I laid a 1/4 inch bead, and then it wasn't even touching the RTV at all. I used AC Delco GMS on that. I used on the intake ports as well. And then I believe, so you're supposed to put RTV in this hole because that goes straight into the head under the valve cover, right there by a tappet. There's oil, going to be running around. What I heard someone say is that it will travel up the threads, and then you'll have a little puddle of oil right here. Right here, it goes into the valley. This is a long bolt, and then another one right here, and it's the same thing on the other side. So these bolts, I don't know. I don't think I have the package for it anymore, but the review on these bolts that Edelbrock recommended, or they gave with me, or whatever, people were saying that they are not the right size. There was 4 bolts or 6 bolts. that were too long and they wouldn't bolt down. Well, that's because whoever wrote that review, and there was a couple of them, that obviously, right? So that distance from here to touch the head and then to screw into the head is a greater distance than, you know, that 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch right there into the cylinder head. So a long bolt goes here, here, and then here. Or no, here, sorry. Here, the ends, the two ends, and then the center that goes down. Those are the 3 long bolts on both sides. And they're the ones, that's where they go. So if you're doing it like me, and you know, you've had the engine on the stand for months, long bolts go here, here, and here, and that's it. That's the only long bolts. That's the only place they go. I ran a tap through all of these holes several times to make sure that they were going to screw in easily. It still wasn't necessarily easy to torque some of these down, but I did what I could. I want to torque everything I can, just because, why not? I got a torque wrench. I can't do this every day. You know, I can't come out here and build it in the weekend and just devote all that time, or, you know, I don't want to anyway. So I'll come out here, you know, for a couple hours tonight and then kind of fiddle with some stuff. I'm doing it, taking my time on it. I want it to be right the first time. I do not want to go back. I had already had to take my my front cover back off because I forgot the oil slinger plate is the best way I know to describe it. It goes over the crank timing gear. I forgot to put that on there, and as soon as I got everything sealed up and I went in the house to let it dry, I come back out here and I look over on my table and there's the oil slinger. So I said, fuck, gotta retake it all off. I went ahead and bought a timing cover gasket and the kit from Felpro. I was going to use gaskets, but I was getting very mixed reviews on whether I could run RTV only on the front cover and the fuel pump, because that's all I wanted to do. I'm very nervous about using these Felpro gaskets because my front cover's pitted. I could have bought another one. I didn't. I'm gonna make sure I check the oil. If you're like me, you know, check your oil right after break-in. Make sure that there's nothing weird there happening. Right after break-in, I'm gonna drain the oil. I'm gonna cut open my oil filter. I'm gonna look at everything, you know, just to get a good idea of what's happening, how much metal is in there. And I'm sure I'm gonna be on the internet for about a week after I cut that oil filter open, just panicking. Is this too much metal in it? Is it not enough? Or well, I mean, I guess not enough, but I'm gonna be real paranoid at first startup, you know. So I'd hate to take this right back out, but what can you do? You know, I'm gonna spend all this money on something and I'm not gonna do it right. Like, might as well have this much time and money devoted to something, you know. You don't want to fuck it up. Anyway, I think that's all I got for now. Probably won't make another video until I do the plugs and the fuel lines, and I'll probably do one more video after that before I slam it in the truck, and then I should hopefully have a video playing on first startup, or not playing. I'll have a video recording of the first startup, and I'm gonna have my tripod set up that I bought, so you guys will get to see that. I don't have mufflers for the truck yet, so I'm gonna be running those open Hedman headers, but it's gonna be a mean son of a bitch. It's gonna be a street truck, but This can be a mean son of a bitch.